Welcome to this edition of Cibola Treasures. I'm Barbara Wesley, your host. Craig Chapman is our guest, and he's with Air Care Plumbing and Heating Supply, and Laura Jaramillo, who is the manager for the City of Grants. And then Melinda Montano has done a phenomenal thing for our community, recognizing our heroes. I should mention that if we as a community want to succeed, the businesses here in Grants need to be doing what she has done to promote tourism. And even though this was a local event, we want to encourage Farmers Insurance to make this an annual event. There were so many people and so many things that were happening there that if we continue to have these types of events, tourists will want to come and see what we're doing here in Grants. So if you see Melinda Montano, thank her for her contribution to our community. And these that we have on our show, I think of Craig Chapman, who is the go-to guy for plumbing, heating, and cooling supply, and just good old information. And Laura Jaramillo, who has an overwhelming job. So stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Craig from Air Care Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing Supply here in Grants, New Mexico, located on 105 Gulch Drive in Grants, New Mexico, just up from Smith's, past the Good Sam on the left. You'll see our streamer up there. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about your cooling systems and stuff like that. A lot of people, they have 20-year-old cooling and heating systems, somewhat outdated. And I have a lot of people coming in here nowadays, and they're kind of wanting to find out what their options are as far as new equipment. The technology just came out since obviously 20 years ago, a lot's changed. So, you know, the people come in, we go over their system, we check out their house, they kind of give me a basic design of their house, and we can go through there and size a piece of equipment, or if they're wanting swamp coolers and a regular heater, or if they're wanting refrigerated air, we kind of help them do that. We've had quite a few in here, so I thought I'd let the rest of the community know about it. You come in here, kind of give me a basic design of your house, square footage of your house, where your cooler's located, where your heater's located, and we could come up with a really good plan on how to change your system out and put you a system in that will cool and heat your house, whether it be refrigerated air or swamp cooler. So come on in and check us out. We have a lot of people doing this nowadays. It doesn't cost a nickel to come in and check it out, or give us a call. It's 287-9031. My cell number is 290-1557. Come in and see us, we'll talk about that. So, and there's no dumb questions, and I may have a dumb answer, but we'll find out the right answer and give you the right resolution to your problem. We have all kinds of plumbing supplies. So if you have a toilet that's leaking, or if you have a faucet that's leaking, or a sink strainer that's leaking, come on down. We've got the flappers, we've got the whole sinks, we have the faucets, toilets, whatever you need down here. Come down and check us out. We also have swamp cooler parts, lots of swamp cooler parts. And those swamp coolers, you have to check them periodically every couple of months. Good idea on those swamp coolers is to dump a cap of Clorox in there every couple of months, just to disinfect that, because you know we've got that Zika virus coming around, and that Clorox will kill any of those little funguses that grow in there. Put a little Clorox in there, smells not too bad. Put that in there. Also check your hoses, make sure you don't have puddles around your yard. Mosquitoes are coming and it's going to be bad. So Come on down and check us out. We've got advice on that. We've got the descalers for your coolers. Put it right in the line. It's a filtering system that descales. It's a good product to keep your filters from plugging up too fast. If you need some advice, if you need a contractor, if you need somebody to come to your house, give us a call. We've got a list of contractors here that can come and fix you up, or if you need advice on how to fix it yourself. So come on in and check us out. We've got a lot of products. 105 Gulch Drive, Ranch, New Mexico, 287-9031, and my cell is 290-1557. Come and see us. We've got a lot of products for you.
Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is Laura Jaramillo. And Laura, almost everyone knows who you are and what you do, but why don't you, we have new people coming into our community all the time, so why don't you tell our audience what your role is?
Good morning, Barbara. I'm Laura Jaramillo, and I'm the city manager for the city of Grants, and I've been in that position for 2 years now.
2 years. That's you've been in the hot seat for 2 years, haven't you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
It's gone by fast, but definitely.
Right. Well, let's talk about some things that are going on in our city. We do know that there are going to be some economic crunches coming from the state that's passed down to our local governments.
Right.
So that's going to happen, and we don't have the fallout of that yet.
Right,
But
right.
it will be coming, I'm sure. And so I think that in the past, there's always been a reserve fund, that you don't spend all the money that you have in your coffers. You leave some of that for emergency contingencies and for just a buffer.
True. Yes. The city of Grants is in pretty good financial standing right now. We have approximately $14 million in reserve, and we're fixing to spend some of that this coming year on some projects that we've had on the burner for quite a while, one being the library or lifelong learning center. We will be spending, we got a small amount of capital award from the state, about $350,000, and then we have another $2 million that we're looking at putting into that project, and very excited for that. It's been something that staff and our library board and community members have been working on for several years.
One of the comments that was made to me was, well, why do we need a library? And I'm thinking, we need a library. We have all of these people coming through our community that need the internet. We're now a gateway for the Continental Divide. Right. And I saw someone recently, he looked like a hobo. He was at Grant State Bank taking money out of his account, and he took out a wad of money. Okay, so here's a hiker that's coming through Grants. He's going to stay in one of the motels. He's going to eat here. He needs the internet so that he can communicate with the next stop, so that whatever he's needing to go on, it's there. And so our internet at our library is very, very critical, not only for those coming through, but for our local people as well.
Right. As you know, last night the City Council worked on our infrastructure plan, which is called the ICIP, which is Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan. And it's something we look at every year to prioritize what our citizens are requesting of us, and one of the top priorities that the council selected last night was to improve the infrastructure for broadband and internet capabilities.
Sure.
And that definitely will be needed for the library, for our citizens as well.
Okay, very good. Now, we look at the priority of things, and as I was studying this list I look at it and I'm thinking, how do we put a number on all of these things that are so critical to our community?
Right.
And then I began to think about building a house. When you build a house, you have a good foundation.
Right.
And so my first recommendation before we start paving streets is to put in our water, replace our water and sewer systems before we start paving a street. Now that would be my that would be my recommendation. So that would be number one for me.
Right. The council put that as their second priority behind broadband capabilities. And besides broadband helping our citizens, if we're going to attract larger industry, we've been told that they need a good infrastructure for internet. And so that will help us attract new businesses to town. And I know even when Walgreens came in, we had some issues with their internet infrastructure. So the second priority was water and sewer lines, and we've already begun some work on that. In fact, our sewer and water lines are so old that we're having multiple breaks. Just in the last 11 days, we've had 17 water breaks, and that's a little bit high and unusual, but we've had a lot, and we need to start replacing those old lines. So we want to do that. The third priority is to improve our roads, and that's the big concern I hear from multiple citizens is the condition of our roads. Unfortunately, fixing this infrastructure, the water sewer lines, is quite expensive. We're doing a small project on Truman Street, which is about 500 feet of water line, and that's about $80,000. We just got a quote that the council approved for Stevens Street, which is another area we've had multiple breaks. That section of town will be about $300,000. So then once we get our water lines worked on, then next would be the roads, and 1 mile of roads is about $1 million. So we're looking at how can we do that in the most cost-effective way. Yesterday, myself and Manuel Vasquez, one of the councilmen, met with the county to explore some ideas about sharing equipment, but the city is exploring the idea of purchasing our own equipment so that our street department can actually do the overlays and the paving of the road, because if we can save a little bit and get more done, I think it will be much better, because we have a lot of road area that hasn't been redone in years.
Sure, absolutely. Now, while we're talking about finances, for some of these, can we apply for grants?
Yes, and that's one thing, until I worked for the city, I didn't realize. I kind of assumed that the city was not tapping into the grant funding that's available, but they definitely have. Most of First Street and Second Street, which we've been working on the last 3 or 4 years, was done out of grant funding. The city has chipped in our matching amounts, but we've gotten a lot of what's called MAP funding and road funding through the DOT. So we definitely are exploring those avenues. We just are getting ready to put in an application to the Water Trust Board for refurbishment of one of our water tanks. And we received a small grant for our new wastewater treatment plant. So we definitely are looking for how can we supplement our own funding with grant money.
Good, because, and right now, I don't know if that's another responsibility. You know, you were a grant writer for Futures, and taking on grant writing, do we have a grant writer in the city?
We don't. You know, I had intended to hire somebody to do that. In fact, it's been about 8 months ago or so, we posted a position. We had some good applicants, but none of them really had the background that I was looking for, that I felt like would truly be beneficial to the city. So I'd like to explore that again eventually. I've also thought about, we just hired a new library director, and all the applicants for the library director position were had wonderful skills in writing. And so I'm still considering, and I know our new director is receptive to this, but combining the library director position with grant writing, because I'm hoping if we staff the library correctly, the director at that position would be able to do at least maybe part-time grant writing. But we need to explore that idea. It would be very helpful. We have our special project staff who currently are managing the grants we get, and some of our on-call engineers are the ones that have helped us put in the applications, and they have people on board that specialize in obtaining funding, especially for infrastructure projects like roads and bridges and things like that.
Right. Well, we're fortunate to have some quality people on board. So we've talked about the internet broadband. We've talked about our water. We've talked water and sewer lines and paving. So what's next on the agenda?
Next on the priority list, the council chose to address the flooding on Washington and Jefferson Street. And for those of us who've lived in Grants for a long time, we're very aware that that area of town is in the center. It's at the low spot, and Mesa View Elementary, Future Foundations, the apartments, the houses on Washington and Jefferson, every year have destruction from flooding. And so when I first came onto the city, one of the homeowners in that area asked for help and has asked for help for many years. And we have so many needs, so I can see why it's not been addressed, but that has been a priority of mine, and the council voted last night to make it a priority. We have had some engineers come in and look at that area, and they helped us put in an application to FEMA just about 8 months ago. We received notice that we were not selected for funding, but they may have additional funding coming about later. So we're looking for funding. We're looking at any resources we can allocate towards that, but that is going to be the fourth priority on our list to address that flooding in that area.
Okay, we need to take a quick break. So don't go away, because we'll be right back with Laura Jaramillo with the update on what's happening in the city. So stay tuned.
El Cafecito is an icon on historic Route 66 in Grants, serving your friends, family, and visitors for 30 years. The aroma of their famous chili welcomes you as you enter. Their friendly, efficient staff greets you. What's your favorite, red or green? El Cafecito prepares your favorite chili fresh every day. A visit to the spotless kitchen reveals where the award-winning chili is made. The efficient staff are preparing El Cafecito's famous meals you can count on, the best service every day. It's always time to go to El Cafecito. If you enjoy breakfast, you'll love breakfast at El Cafecito. Try one of the top 10 rated burritos in the state of New Mexico. Or maybe you're in the mood for eggs, bacon, and hash browns with green chili. There are so many items on the menu, even French toast. Ready for lunch? Hamburgers with French fries is a great choice. Make dining out for dinner special. Try the steak prepared just the way you like it. It's a meal you will tell your friends about. Sopapillas are good any time of the day. And that's not all. El Cafecito has just the right venue for your receptions, banquets, special occasions, and business meetings. Utilize the state-of-the-art electronics for the perfect professional presentation. Late for work or need a meal quickly? Call 285-6229. The drive-up window will have your orders in a jiffy. El Cafecito is famous for the best New Mexican food and their friendly, fast service. Located at 820 East Santa Fe Avenue.
Well, we're back with Laura Jaramillo, and we're getting an update on what's happening with our city and the priorities that the city has established as the major things we need to be addressing in our community. And as I said, as I looked at the list, I was thinking, gosh, all of these things need attention.
Right.
But let's approach the next topic. What is the next on the list?
Next on the list is to refurbish one of our water tanks. We have about 3 water tanks in the city of Grants, and they're getting quite old, and so we have to have them monitored, and inspectors come and look at them, and we've received word that we need to do some refurbishment. So we're looking at applying for some funding through the Water Trust Board, as well as allocating some of our tax revenue towards that. So 5th would be the water tanks, and 6th on the list was the Riverwalk Legacy Trail, which we've talked about many a times. We've got funding to do the first phase of that, and so we're looking at how can we expand that trail and make it something that our citizens and tourists and visitors can enjoy.
Right. And so the first phase begins at the Riverwalk.
Right.
And then it comes across 2nd Street and 1st Street over to Anderman.
Right.
And then north toward the college.
Right. We have a couple of jet outs. We can head north to the college. We could head down 2nd Street and then up Roosevelt and tie in on Lobo Canyon up that way towards the Continental Divide Trail. There's been the thought that we could head out towards the golf course and do a loop out that way if we extend it past Anderman. So we have a couple of ideas in the works as how the trail can be expanded.
I think, and there has been some money allocated
right.
for that.
We received about $500,000 and the city's chipped in about another $100,000. There's additional funding that comes about periodically through the Department of Transportation for alternatives to motorized transportation. And so it's called TAP funding, and so we keep submitting applications and seeing if we can obtain additional dollars for that trail.
Okay, very good. And so does that, have we covered the cemetery expansion?
Right. That was not a high priority for our citizens, but it is something definitely the city's got to start planning. We are getting very close to being out of plots, and so we have some property that's right there next to the current cemetery that will be expanding, and so we need to start planning ahead. That's something that we'll have to address in the near future. So the citizens didn't mark that as something they felt was a top priority. We have so many other needs, but as you said, if you look at our list of possibilities, it's hard to pick your top priorities because they're all so important.
Sure. Now, you mentioned non-motorized vehicles. Now we have motorized vehicles on our streets that don't need to be tagged. And how's the city addressing that? We haven't brought that up yet, but what's your...
Yeah, we passed an ATV ordinance, and the state had passed an ordinance, so the city and the county followed suit. Prior to doing that, we met with the county sheriff's department and several other law enforcement agencies and talked about, how would that work? What issues might we come about because of that? And so we talked about that in advance. Our heads of our law enforcement made sure that they trained their staff, and so we see there was some community groups that were really pushing for us to pass the ATV ordinance so that they could drive on regular streets. They can't drive on interstate, but they are the highway, but they can drive on local streets within the village of Milan and the city of Grants and in the county. And so it increases recreational activities. There's many communities in Arizona and Colorado that ATVs are on the road, and so people that are outdoor adventurous look for stuff like that, and so it'll increase the availability of people coming and visiting and taking their ATV out onto the many trails that we have in the Zuni's and Mount Taylor.
Sure, but one word of caution is that we as drivers need to be more aware of. One day I was just shocked to see this. It almost looked like one of those little go-karts, and it had a flag on top, but there were no lights, nothing, no helmet, nothing. And I'm thinking, my goodness sakes, he could get hit so easily.
Right, definitely precautions, but I believe the ATV ordinance requires the ATVs to be licensed, and they need to have lights and various things that an automobile would have, and they would follow the same speed limits. Couldn't go over the speed limits, but there's some precautions definitely for all of us because they're less protected in an ATV than in an automobile. So
sure. So as we look at some of the future of grants, we've just had some devastating news about 4Cs, and my opinion, I've not asked yours, but my opinion is we're going to get through this with flying colors. I just believe that if every one of us, every business, every citizen really promotes our community. I think of Robert Windhorse that has really tackled our debris and the clutter in yards and that sort of thing. And he's wanting to make our community beautiful for not only for us to enjoy, but for people coming into the community. And then the demolition of buildings. You know, we've got some of these old buildings, and it attracts those that go in and live in them and damage them even more. So that's a priority for our city too, and he's done a superb job. And then I think of Mary. I can't remember her last name, but she works for, I guess, the grounds, and
she's under our code enforcement office, and one of the assistants that helps with our parks.
She has done a phenomenal job, hasn't she?
Definitely.
And so I think that if we continue to move forward as a community that's attracting people to our community, and then several years ago when Paul Milan his wife had moved back here, but they were still trying, or maybe his wife was still in Texas. I don't recall the exact particulars, but he mentioned that Grants would make an ideal retirement community. And we need to be attracting those retirees to our community because they bring money, they don't require a job, and we have a phenomenal hospital, we have a great school, we've got our library is coming along, all of these things that retirees want, plus we've got some of the best weather in the country.
Right, right. I agree, Barbara. I think we've got some challenges, but we have many opportunities, and we have a lot to offer for people to come to live in Grants. And, you know, I hear some of our locals be very negative and complain, but, you know, now that I'm the city manager, as I travel to other places, we just went to Denver this last weekend, and I look at our community compared to others. We drove through Raton, and Raton's experiencing the same things. Our main street looks 10 times better than Raton and some of the other smaller communities, such as Tucumcari, that are our size. And so I felt proud just looking and comparing our community to others. Do we have a long ways to go? Definitely, and there's a lot that we still have to do, and but we have lots of opportunities, and I think if we focus on that and not focus on the challenges, we need to address the challenges, but we can only head up. You know, there's lots that we can accomplish if we work together.
Well, I think the boom and bust attitude that we've had that has kind of put a doom and gloom over Grants needs to be erased.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We need to be saying we've got one of the best communities in the state of New Mexico, maybe even in the Southwest, because of all of the advantages of living in our community.
Right, I agree. Yes.
Okay, would you like to tell our audience in closing?
You know, get involved, come out. We've got a cleanup day coming. We need citizens to be active and help us address these challenges that we're going to be facing, you know, not only in Cibola County but across the nation with hard economic times. And so, you know, come to us with your solutions. We are open, and we'd love to hear your input.
Great. Well, keep up the good work. I know you've got a big load to carry, but you're doing a phenomenal job. So just keep it up. And I want to thank you for joining us today and for you to tune in to Cibola Treasures.
Oh no, maybe he'll give me a warning.
108 regional. I'll be on a traffic stop.
105.
I'm with the Cibola County Sheriff's Office. The reason I'm stopping you is because you weren't maintaining your lane. Do you have your driver's license, registration, and insurance with you today?
Yes, I do.
Sir, have you consumed any alcohol today?
No, I haven't.
I can smell alcohol coming from the vehicle, sir. Are you sure?
Okay, maybe I had 2 beers.
Sir, place your hands behind your back for me. I'm going to be placing you under arrest for DWI.
Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is Craig Chapman with Air Care Plumbing Heating Supply.
Pretty close.
Okay, let's do it again. Tell me again.
This is Craig Chapman from Air Care Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing Supply.
Okay. Anyway, Craig, there's something really that I wanted to convey to our audience, and that is the years of experience that you have brought to the community. So let's start out when you first went into this business. What you worked for your father-in-law, as I understand?
Actually, I only went to school till the 9th grade, and I really didn't like school, so I started work for it wasn't my father-in-law at the time, but it soon became my father-in-law. So I started there, and he was a pretty ornery devil, you know. He was pretty hard, and he'd train you, you know. It's like, but you better learn quick. But yeah, I worked for him for many years, and I learned a lot, and that was down in Apache Junction, Arizona. So I learned quite a bit from him, and then I went on in life and started doing my own thing. Ended up at the one time when he retired, I purchased all of his equipment, and I put it in storage for a few years while I worked at a different job, trying to save up enough money to start the company. And then finally I got enough money together and built a building down here on Golds Drive, and put all the equipment in there, hired a crew, and we started doing some new houses out at Acoma. So that's when I finally decided to go ahead and go full-time with the heating and cooling company, which was Air Care Heating and Cooling. And we never looked back. It just seemed to grow and grow and grow. And we tried to treat our people right and all of our customers and lead them in the right direction. And that's the way we still run our company, our new company, which we just sell parts. We do give advice to anybody, whether it be a contractor, whether it be a new and upcoming individual in town that's trying to get going, or an older contractor that hasn't had the experience for some reason or another and has a question that he wants answered. So we pride ourselves in trying to help people, you know. Mm-hmm. And this day and age, I mean, we've got a lot of people without jobs. We've had a few reductions in force at a few of our companies, and so I think it's time for people to step back and look, can I do this myself? And a lot of times you can, and a lot of times you can't. For example, if you don't go up on roofs, then don't start now. But if you can do something like change your flapper in your toilet bowl, very simple thing to do. Maybe you've never done it, but one call down to the shop and we can explain to you how to do it. And we'll help you with that. And you can spend $2 for a flapper, put it in yourself, and not pay that $80, $90 for a service call. And I'm not trying to run jobs away from contractors, but there's a lot of things you can save a few dollars on. And so call us up down there. It's 287-9031. My cell number is 290-1557.
Well, you know, this is, I think, what is so important right now. Where can you go to get something free, without a charge, absolutely free? That's correct. And that's at Air Care Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing Supply. So when he gives advice, there's no charge. There's no hourly cost or per minute cost for the advice that Craig gives. And I've been in Air Care a number of times when I've seen individuals there just needing some help. Tell me what I need to be doing. I've also, and looking for the right part, and they'll bring something in and Craig will say, you know, that's really not going to work as well as this other will work. And then I've even seen contractors in there getting advice, because they will come in and say, I've got this dilemma, I've got this problem, tell me what I need to do. And a contractor, we often think a contractor should know what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, I don't think any of us know everything. So, you know, I mean, if you know something you can help somebody down the road, it might be next week I'll be calling that contractor asking him, you know. It's
sure.
like, so it's a two-way street. We all try to help each other, and the more we do that, the better off we're going to be. Keeping everything to yourself and not helping people doesn't do anything for our community.
That's true. It's true.
So you need to jump in there and help whoever it is anytime they need the help.
Right. Well, I think that with the layoffs that we've seen here at the mines, and people are concerned about maintenance and how do they maintain things, I would suggest that they go and talk to you, because many of these people have had the resources to just hire someone to do whatever they needed done. And now that money is going to be tight, they need to consider another alternative, and I believe that's air care.
And heating, cooling, and plumbing supply. But you know, and that's true. If people can stop by and talk to me, or if I don't know the answer, which I might not know the answer, I can call and find out, or research it and find out, and get back with them, or whatever it takes to get the job done. And if not, we can recommend somebody that is a contractor if it's something they finally cannot do, you know.
Right.
And so I think that's the big part. Do what you can, but be safe doing what you're doing. If you're messing with electrical and you don't know electrical, maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Sure.
I had a customer come in the other day, and it really messed him up. Gentleman I've known forever, had somebody, they wired up his plug-in for his motorhome, and they accidentally hooked it to 220, burnt all his appliances out. So that's one thing that maybe they shouldn't be messing with. So it just cost them a lot of money to replace the refrigerator, you know, all the stuff that's necessary, inverter and stuff like that. So a few things you shouldn't, and there are things that are simple. You know, you're not going to drown yourself to death playing with the water, but
Sure.
electrical is something, gas is something else too.
Right.
So give us a call. We'll give you as good of information as we possibly can. Our number is 287-9031, located at 105 Gulch Drive in Grants, New Mexico.
And by the way, for those of you that are new to our community, we have new people moving into our community. And if you will go to the intersection of Roosevelt and Lobo Canyon Road, go just past Good Samaritan. On the left is Goltz Road, and just turn left, and then you'll see Air Care Plumbing, Air Conditioning Supply. I thought I always knew exactly what it was: air conditioning, heating, and cooling supply.
It's a long word, so it's
Right, it is. But there have been times when I've been in there when he has had a whole big supply of equipment for a contractor, all of the air conditioning and all of those parts and all of that set up ready for the contractor to come and pick up. I've also seen you working on estimates.
Right. I do all of them in the estimates. Yeah. So we do that. We do a lot of estimates on filters. We sell a tremendous amount of air filters to different companies and different contractors and stuff like that. So if you have an air filtration problem, or you have an issue with your ductwork, or there's not enough air blowing through a register, come in and we'll talk about it and try to figure out what's going on and help you. And I always like to bring up, keep your filters clean. That's what saves your equipment. Keep your filters clean.
And you are really adamant about that, because that does save a lot of money.
Well, you get a dirty filter and you can raise your gas bill by twice, or your unit will start freezing up and cooling because the airflow can't get through there. And it's just like your body. If you can't get the air in, you can't get the air out. It's the same way with an automobile. You got a filter, you got to change it. And it needs to be changed in a timely manner. So that's the thing. Check the filter. That is the only thing and the best thing that a customer can do to take care of their equipment. And if you don't do that, you will have a contractor there working on your equipment, whether it be a blower motor or whether it be a heat exchanger cracked because it got too hot.
Right. Now we're in a transition period right now. In another month, we're going to begin to see some cooler weather.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does someone need to be doing to prepare for that transition?
Well, obviously, we're going to go from cooling to heating. But if you haven't had your heater cleaned or serviced, that needs to be in the near future to get it done, because we will get, in Grants we have a temperature differential of 50 degrees some days. But you do need to get your furnace cleaned up and serviced, or if you do it yourself, check the filter, clean it up, vacuum it up. Make sure you unplug it first so there's no power on. Clean it up, vacuum it up, make sure everything is in order. And that way you're not scrambling at the last moment when it's 30 degrees, you turn the heat on, and your wife goes crazy on you because it's not working.
That's right.
So, and if you have any questions about doing that while you're doing it, you can call. We'll talk right on the phone while you have the door open. And we'll tell you some of the processes it takes to get that furnace cleaned up and ready to go. And the same way with your cooler. We're going to be shutting them down pretty soon. If you really, people don't realize it, but it's really good if you will clean your cooler in the wintertime, because that water sits there and that scale builds while that water's evaporating or whatever. And so it's a really good idea to service the cooler in the winter, and then next spring it's already done.
Sure.
You're ready to go.
That's true. So remember, if you go by and see Craig Chapman and you need advice on something, and by the way, he's got some gadgets down there that are really, really nifty gadgets. And not only is the advice free, but you might see something there that you just cannot live without. I want to thank you for coming today.
I appreciate you guys taking care of us.
How can someone reach you, Craig?
We're located at 105 Gulch Drive, Grants, New Mexico, just up the road from Smith's on the left-hand side past the Good Samaritan. 287-9031. My cell number is 290-1557. And thank you very much for your support in our community.
Okay, and thank you for tuning in to this segment of Cibola Treasures, brought to you by our phenomenal sponsors, including Seven Cities Productions and Comcast.
Riverside Auto Diesel is the place to go for everything mechanical. Bicycles, motorcycles, RVs, cars, and semis too. Car a little sluggish? Riverside Auto Diesel can fix you up with routine oil changes and a tune-up. Then your car or truck will have superb engine performance. Tires for every truck or car are available at Riverside Auto Diesel. You'll experience the difference with the right tire for your vehicle. Transmissions need routine service. Don't get caught in the middle of nowhere with a transmission failure. A cool car is a pleasure to drive when the weather is not. An air conditioner leak can be repaired and you're off to an enjoyable summer. When your car breaks down or you have an unfortunate accident, Riverside Auto Diesel has road service and towing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Friendly, knowledgeable, ASE certified mechanics. Riverside Auto Diesel is New Mexico state approved. For all of your mechanical and automotive needs, see Keith Ford at Riverside Auto Diesel, located at 1433 East Old Historic Route 66. Call 287-3543 or 290-7459.
If you keep tanning, indoors or out, the effects of harmful rays will show up on your skin. Wrinkles, age spots, and an increased risk of skin cancer, including melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer, and the second most common cancer in women 15 to 29. Stop tanning. Time may not be on your side. Learn how to protect your skin at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Welcome to this segment of Cibola Treasures. In our studio today is Melinda Montano. And Melinda, tell our audience what you do in the community.
I'm the local farmers insurance agent here. This November will be 3 years. We are reaching out to the community more than ever at this point. We have a Heroes Barbecue Saturday, August 20th. What this involves is we invited all our local law enforcement agencies to join us, spend a day with their families. So we're going to have hamburgers, hot dogs, and jumpers, popcorn, cotton candy, and face painting. Just a good day, and a way to give back.
So this is called Heroes, what is it called?
The Heroes Barbecue.
Heroes Barbecue. So that includes the police department,
Yes.
the sheriff's department, the state police, the county rescue, does it include the fire departments?
It does. It includes Grants and Milan and all the volunteers surrounding our areas.
Okay, and so you're saying surrounding areas, that would be Blue Water Lake, it would include Cibola and Cubero and all of those places. So we do have a lot of heroes
Yes.
in our community.
Yeah, we also extended it to military, active retired, and veterans.
Okay, so this is a big event. And how did you come up with this idea?
So our company gave us the option to do smaller barbecues, or we can do lunch, provide them lunch. We're reaching out to certain affinity groups, and they're giving us, Farmers Insurance, the corporation is giving us cost share dollars, so they'll match us dollar for dollar what we spend in order to make this a really successful event.
Wonderful. So this is for all of those people that are heroes in our county
Yes,
and their families.
correct.
Okay, so but you have a vision, don't you?
We do.
And tell us what that vision is.
So next year, you know, I've been working with a lot of the community members, and we have a lot of great ideas to make this event at the end of Law Enforcement Week next year, to have a live band, to have a tent, and make it, you know, instead of 3 hours, make it a full day or even 2-day event.
So it would be for the whole community?
Yes, for the whole community.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That's, you know, I have this vision, and, you know, I just can see our community coming together in a way we never have before.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you were doing? You said you had popcorn, cotton candy.
Yeah,
You have popcorn.
yeah,
And you have jumpers for the children.
correct.
And you're providing food.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to do, what kind of food are you doing?
We're doing hamburgers and hot dogs, chips, lemonade, and water. you know.
Okay. So there's food, hot dogs, and hamburgers. And then there were some other things on the list. I don't have it in front of me, but what else was on the list?
So that was for the kids. For the adults, we have volleyball tournaments. We have a horseshoe tournament. We're going to be having a live DJ, Officer John Castaneda. He DJs. So he's going to be that. We're going to be raffling off quite a few items. We're going to have an award ceremony recognizing one officer from each department, or one firefighter from their department as well. And then we have probably 5 veterans we're going to be recognizing. We have the American Legion, one in Grants and one in Milan, and then the VFW that want to recognize the members.
Wonderful. Okay. So this is going to be almost a gala, if you will, right? Without the tuxedos
Right.
and the evening gowns.
Yeah.
So, how did you come up with this idea?
So initially the idea was to do individual departments and, you know, spend one day, you know, one-on-one with them. But after going through each department and just getting ideas on what they wanted to see from us, you know, what would they enjoy, a lot of them asked to include their families, and then a lot of them suggested, you know, why don't we do something together? You know, we have so much small town politics that we want something that brings us together. Introduce members from other departments, so they know if they did have to, you know, show up and back each other up, they know who each other are. And so I kind of started brainstorming with my staff, and it just got bigger and bigger, more exciting, the more ideas and the more people that helped us.
Okay. So you represent a company.
Right.
And what is that company?
That is Farmers Insurance.
Okay. And they are funding some of this for you.
Yes.
And so primarily they are providing for the food.
So they're matching us cost share dollars, so I can spend that money in the direction that we feel unfit. We've had actually several companies want to help bring. We were gonna do hot dogs initially. We've had a company that asked if they can bring in hamburgers, if we don't mind if they bring them, if we cook them, and we said yeah. We have another company that said, you know, can we bring you waters? And so we said, of course, this lady called yesterday from a fire department. She says, I have a bunch of homegrown, or not homegrown, I don't know, a bag of like fresh peanuts. Like she has the old, the big sack of them, and she wants to bring those. So whatever people want to help bring and make it, individualize it. So we've had that. We have a few companies wanting to help bring stuff for the raffle. That's helped us. So I have a list of the sponsors, and hopefully next year, once they see how successful it is, we can get a little bit more people to step in, and we can feed the whole community.
Okay. When we started talking about this, my thought was, if next year we could do this where we had the chamber involved and Grants Main Street involved and the city involved and the village involved and the county involved, we got all of these together to make this a county-wide community event and provide those hot dogs and hamburgers and all those wonderful things for the community, and still keep the spirit of honoring our heroes in the forefront.
Right. The Village of Milan has helped, and the county has helped as well. The chambers helped organize the blood drive that day, and then Main Street, they did ask what we needed, and they said they have trash cans available. So, little things that people are, that are resources that they have that, that doesn't cost them anything to help us kind of, make this easier for all of us.
But it makes it a better event,
yes.
Right? And I know that in years past, when there have been events, sometimes the trash is just overwhelming. So to have trash containers and all those things, so the cleanup is not a big challenge. So how many people do you anticipate? Have you had people that needed to register so you know how many to feed?
Yeah, so we did ask the departments to have a sign-up sheet there so the guys can sign up so we can get a tentative head count. And right now this morning we had 433. We have enough food to feed 500, so we're pretty close, as long as we don't get a big surprise. And if we do, we have Smith's and Milan Supermarket we can easily run to and get some more food.
Okay, super. Well, I think that this is great. And in light of all of the things that are happening in our community, I think every business in town should be stepping up to do something to encourage that positive attitude, because we do not want to become a community that is negative or depressed. We want to continue to be a vibrant community, and this is one of those things that encourages that spontaneity, that fun. I think to see people playing volleyball and horseshoes and all of these things, that's fun. That's old time fun.
Right. We did. Fire department asked if we can do tug of war and a three-legged race. So today, that's my goal, to make sure we have those materials so we can, things that don't cost very much that can create a lot of excitement.
Right, and that's fun too. Yeah. Right. Well, I want to thank you for doing this for the community, and especially for those that we consider to be our heroes.
It's my pleasure.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Cibola Treasures.
Uranium Capital Speedway is the oldest speedway in New Mexico. Racers come from all over the Southwest to race on a fast clay track. Exciting, wholesome fun for the whole family. Uranium Capital Speedway gives back through fundraising and special events. Bigger payouts for racers, go-karts, and mini sprints. Great food. Racing belongs on the track, not on the street. Go to www.uraniumcapitalspeedway.com. Rochelle of First Street Cafe has been known as the Pie Lady for years. 2 years in a row, First Street Cafe has received the Best Dessert designation by the Grant Cibola County Chamber of Commerce. Just a few of the breakfast items include quiche with fresh fruit, First Street's breakfast burrito, and check out the huge pancake. Lunch features a French dip sandwich with homemade potato salad. The special soup of the day and sandwich is sure to satisfy. First Street's chili bean soup is a crowd pleaser. The menu for breakfast and lunch offers a selection that will make your meal ever so special. Let's save room for dessert. Homemade coconut cream pie is a favorite, and it sells out quickly. Let's not forget the pecan pie and the cheesecake. Sugar-free desserts are available too. Rochelle and her staff welcome you to the best dessert in Cibola County. Plus, there's so much more to enjoy at First Street Cafe, located at 1600 West Santa Fe Avenue. For takeout orders, call 287-7111.
Beautification of our community is really important if we're going to be attracting businesses to our community. People want to live in a beautiful, healthy community. So let's all work together to get some of these weeds that are choking some of our streets and neighborhoods. Let's help our neighbors out. If you see an elderly person that is struggling with their yard, go and help them. If you see a neighbor that perhaps just needs a little help and encouragement, go and do that. Let's make our community the very best in New Mexico when it comes to beautification. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to this edition of Cibola Treasures, brought to you by our phenomenal sponsors, and our viewers are so special to us. Thank you.